Hey guys, we're going to go through today the number one reason that you are failing with your dog on a track and the things that you can do to give yourself the best chance of regaining that track with your dog. So the number one reason that people fail when they are tracking with a dog is the handler not reading their dog's body language cues. Body language cues that your dog give off are individual to your specific dog, and the only way that you are going to get a good read on what your dog is telling you is just by spending hours and hours of time behind your dog on a tracking lead, learning what their own idiosyncrasies are and unique tells to let you know as a handler that you are tracking. But some of the more common ones are typical active sniffing, nose on the ground, distinctive pace or a tracking gait as I like to call it. These are just some of the things that I look out for when I'm on a track with my dogs. Not knowing what your dog looks like when it is on a track versus when it isn't on a track is a recipe for disaster, and it's going to lead to a lot of missed corners and eventually lost tracks. So spending some time really analyzing a dog, what they look like when they are lost on a track or and hit a track or go past the corner and self-cast back will serve you greatly, especially when you get into the more complicated and technical tracks later on in your tracking journey. So what is the mindset that you should be thinking when inevitably your dog does get lost on a track? Well, that comes down to several factors. The first factor I like to think of is what should your mentality be as a handler, okay? So you're tracking along and your dog has no longer been tracking. You've picked up their dog's body language cues and they're telling you that the track is no longer here. So the first thing that we should be looking at to try to regain that track is stopping, okay? I've noticed that my dog has stopped tracking. I'm not going to keep walking until my dog has given me a clear indication of where that track is. So dog stop tracking, I'm going to hold my feet, which means just stop and watch my dog, observe what my dog does. If my dog has been trained properly, they'll go into a self-casting procedure and hopefully pick up that track because you might have just shot past the corner. And then from there, if the dog picks up the track, great. We're gonna fall back in behind the dog and keep going as long as they are giving us those body language cues, letting us know that's where the track is. But what do we do if the dog doesn't relocate that track and doesn't give us a clear indication that's where the track is going? This is where we're going to get in today's main part of the lesson, is understanding, having yourself a clear set of protocols and systems in place so you have confidence on what to do when that time comes your dog has stopped tracking. So what is our mindset when we first realize the dog has stopped tracking? The first thing I want to think of is, as I said before, stopping and allowing our dog its head, which means allowing our dog a chance to relocate that track. Should the dog not relocate the track, then what we're going to go into is thinking about the line of travel and the ease of access. So line of travel, what does that mean? Say we're tracking along here and we get to a point where the dog has stopped tracking. I now allow time for my dog to self-cast and pick up the track upon its own steam. If the dog does not pick up that track, I'm then going to think the line of travel, I'm going to take a couple meters step ahead and recast back and forth along that same line. That reason why I do that is just out of pure probability, where the track, we have been tracking in a straight line. The most likely scenario, the track does still continue straight. The reason why we take a few steps ahead is to clear out any of that burnt ground that we've been walking back and forth. If, however, the track doesn't get picked up on this cast back and forth, we then look at ease of access, okay? The ease of access is really environmental dependent, plays a big part in urban environments. When I was a police force dog handler, ease of access I used a lot because we'd be in a suburban area or industrial estate. There'd be tall building here, alleyway here, and another tall building here. If someone was trying to get away from the cops, they'd be looking to take their path of least resistance to give themselves the best chance of creating distance from the dog handler or the cops. So in that case, we'd be looking, sort of using our own common sense as to where the track is going. Great in urban environments, not so great in bushland or paddock, because ease of access could be really anywhere. But if you're looking and you can see, well, look, there's a big thicket of lantana, there's a big thicket of lantana here, the most likely chance the path is gone, we've gotten to this point, is through that path between the lantana. So I'll just demonstrate that. Lantana here, and there's a nice path through there. Most likely the person would have gone through that path. But say we do cast there and nothing, okay? So I'm gonna just reset the board. So we've checked out line travel, we've checked out ease of access, and still nothing. What is the process that we have in place to get us back on the track? Okay, having a set system in place will 100% give you a great chance of getting to the end of the track. So knowing what is the ABCs are, what the steps are to give you and your dog the best chance of relocating that track. So, for example, our track goes this way and the track layer's made a left-hand corner. Us, as our dog team, tracking along and they blow past the corner. For whatever reason, the dog's overshot the corner and he has realized the track's no longer there. Us being good little dog handlers have picked up on the dog's body language cues and we've now stopped our feet. The dog has tried to relocate the track upon its own steam, but it's failed to do so. What are the steps? What are the protocols that we fall back on in this case? We've done our line travel, we've done our ease of access and still nothing. So this is the next step we go upon. What we're gonna do is start to cast the dog in ever increasing concentric circles, okay? Until we hit that track and we look for a change of behavior from our dog. So when we're casting, we're paying close attention to our dog's body language through the hours and hours and repetition of tracking with our dog. We should have had a good memory bank of what our dog looks like when it hits a track. If, however, the dog gives us a little indication but decides not to go on with it, we're gonna keep casting and we might get a second indication. If I get 2 indications in an area, it's gonna tell me that something of interest has happened here, and now I'm gonna start focusing my time casting in this general vicinity until I hit the track and we're away again. Okay guys, so this is a step-by-step plan that I go through in my head every time I'm on a track and my dog has lost the track. Best case scenario, your dog's lost track, it then self-casts and then hits the track and continues on, but that's not always gonna happen. You need to have a system in place, a set of protocols that you can fall back on should you inevitably lose a track with your dog. If you have a system in place like this, I'm sure 100% you will increase your success rate when it comes to tracking.